Good morning and welcome to the Ugly Truth. Question that I want to pose for today is what do the Yankees do next? After a rash of injuries, losing some key players for the season, seems like the Yankees are in a little bit of turmoil. Fans across the board are not very pleased with our backup options. And I'd like to see how you guys feel and what you think about this upcoming season. How do you feel that we mitigate the injuries to Stanton, uh, Cole, and Luis Heel? Do we go with in-house options? Are there trades to be made, or are we uh, are we looking at possibly signing any free agents that are out on the open market? Okay. After Cole's injury, there's been a lot of talk about possibly uh, adding a pitcher via the trade market. Some of the interesting names that have come up are uh, Dylan Cease from the Padres, although they did pull him from the market after the season or spring training started. Another one has been Eric Fetty of the Cardinals. Something that I don't think a lot of people have considered is that the Dodgers are uh, are very loaded in starting pitching. They have 11 starters on their staff. Obviously, all 11 aren't going to make the rotation, and there are several of their former key starters that uh, don't have any options left. So they're either going to be traded or DFA'd. Two of those names, I believe, are May and Gonsolin. Are they a possibility for the Yankees? Could be. Uh, we also have Eric Fetty. I don't remember if I mentioned him of the Cardinals. Luis Castillo of the Mariners, uh, or resting with what we have in house as a rotation, going with Warren, Schlittler, uh, Carrasco, Stroman. We give some shout outs because people are starting to come into the room. Uh, Shout out to CT Cards, Stephen B, Ray Klickner, FJE, uh, Sean Browning, Cold Italian Pizza, John the Beagle Dad. I appreciate y'all's support and thank you for showing up this morning for the live stream. I was at about 8 minutes out. I looked and I said, "Oh, there's nobody here," so I was a little concerned. Uh, the uh, the Cole injury to me wasn't a big surprise after last year. Uh, there were rumors that he had a partial UCL tear, something similar to what Tanaka had his first season with the Yankees, and they tried to mitigate it without surgery. I thought eventually it would come to a surgical option, but I didn't think it was going to be this quick. Were the Yankees prepared to absorb a hit like that to Garrett Cole? Possibly. Over the last two seasons, the Yankees have drafted roughly 47 pitchers between the actual MLB draft and the international free agent signings. Obviously, over the last 2 years, those guys have been working their way through the minors, and Could possibly some of them show up this season to help us out? It's a possibility. Uh, Spring training this year, a lot of the young arms have looked really good. Uh, Welcome, Menifee. Glad to see you. A lot of the uh, a lot of the guys are working their way through. Uh, this this season, I have been very very happy with the adjustments that Will Warren has made, and he is looking that uh, he is definitely going to start in the rotation this year. Another one who I've been very impressed with is Cam Schlittler. He has looked very good, and he is going to be on the bump today during spring training. Very good point, FJ. Uh, I think the reverse may be true too, because the Yankees are in such need. Any pitchers that we may try to acquire are going to cost us an arm and a leg, and you know that the Yankees have a tax, and every team tries to take advantage of it. I have Sean sitting in the background, and I'm going to bring him up. Welcome, Sean.
Yeah, how's it going?
Not bad. How about yourself?
It's going all right.
Okay. First question: how do we mitigate the injuries to first Garrett Cole?
Well, big part of mitigating that, we actually kind of handled ahead of finding out that he needed Tommy John, and that was we were so aggressive in getting Max Fried after Soto left with that big payout, and because he's an ace caliber guy, and he was an ace with the Braves um, before Spencer Strider kind of broke out. He's a guy that can, take up that load and lead our rotation. But I think we're more gonna try and see what we have in house while we try and look. Because if we make a panic move, we're gonna lose too many prospects. Because teams know, oh yeah, you're down Cole and Hill. Uh, they're gonna be like, yeah, hey, well we want Spencer Jones, we want George Lombard, we want, you know, all our top prospects for one of their pitchers.
So, what prospects do you think are possibly set to be moved in any type of a trade for us?
I would think Everson Pereira um, would be one of them. Um, Roderick Arias. I mean, he's a young kid. I know we signed him, international free agents. Um, but I think those guys, because I mean George Lombard and Spencer Jones and those two are untouchables in my opinion. But you look at Roderick Arias, he's just high upside, but we're kind of log jammed in the middle infield. Uh, and then Everson Pereira, I don't see him getting much playing time with the big team, with the big league team. So I would move him, or say as a trade option, and a few others, and maybe either Chase Hampton or some of the other ones. Um, just to because if we hold on to him too long and we expose many other things, like we've done with what's his name, Florial and some others, you find that we release them and then they go play with another team and then they have.
For me personally, I know I'm on the outside looking in on this one. I don't think that Everson Pereira is going anywhere. I have the gut instinct that he may actually end up being the left fielder this season. If if Dominguez does not get it together out in left field, Florial or Pereira is a plus defender in the outfield. This spring, the kid has been hitting the lights out of the ball. Uh, so I could see very easily them pigeonholing Dominguez in as a DH for us this season, while he works to improve his skill set. From what I can see on Dominguez, uh, the guy is fast. He's got the speed, but he just takes uh, bad routes to the outfield to getting to the ball in the outfield. And you see a lot of balls that fall in just outside his reach or just a bit over his head.
Mm.
And it's been consistent for the last 2 seasons when he's been in the field.
Yeah,
On the Michael K show uh, earlier last week, Michael K had talked with several scouts that have been assessing Dominguez uh, from his original signing with the Yankees, and the conclusion that uh, both of those guys had, or both those scouts had, is that even in center field, Dominguez was a poor outfielder at best. He was taking bad routes to the balls that weren't hit directly at him, and you're seeing the exact same thing hitting in left field. Dominguez has been in the Yankee organization for roughly 6 years, and if he can't figure out in 6 years, I don't think he's going to figure it out.
now and
But
he might just be one of those type that his bat is better than his glove.
well, and if you look at Juan Soto through the early part of his career was a horrendous outfielder, very very bad. But the guy is a quote unquote generational talent because of his ability at the plate.
Mm-hmm.
Dominguez may have the exact type attributes where his abilities lie at the dish. Uh,
Yeah,
and I
and
mean,
then,
you look at players that have fallen into the DH role. David Ortiz, Hall of Famer, beyond horrible as a fielder in the outfield and at first base. But he's a Hall of Famer because of his bat. Edgar
yeah,
Martinez, another
yeah.
one.
I was gonna bring him
Hor-
up.
horrible defender, but very impressive skills with the bat.
Well, I mean, and then even look at, John Carlos Stanton. I mean, he was a serviceable outfielder with the Marlins. And then but he actually stayed healthy. You know, but then he come over here, and we said, well, we're gonna use him mostly as a DH and spells, and then they finally took him out of the outfield.
Well, we had Stanton for pretty much 2 serviceable seasons in the outfield, and then continuous hamstring injuries started appearing, and they've just gotten worse as time has gone on. I see that Graham has hopped in. Welcome, and Lou also. Thank you for attending the show today.
Yeah,
Uh,
but then what is your thoughts on Bernie? I guess they were saying that Bernie was working with Dominguez on reading fly balls and.
well, has he had qualified coaches working with him throughout the system? Probably so. I mean, I looked at that as comparable to our former catcher Gary Sanchez.
Mm-hmm.
He had worked exclusively with Joe Girardi, who was a superior catcher, especially defense behind the plate,
Right.
and Tony Pena, his bench coach at the time, was another fantastic catcher. He worked with
Yeah.
those two
Yeah.
and just never seemed to be able to block balls. Uh, he had an incredibly quick pop time, and it made up for some deficiencies throwing runners out at second. But as an overall catcher, he was below zone, and he
Hmm.
worked with some of the best in the game.
Right.
Didn't help him much, and he has been pretty much relegated to a backup role where any place that he's gone. He's with a backup role or a DH, and he is with
Yeah.
the Orioles this season as their backup catcher.
Yeah. And then he went to the Brewers, or he might have been with the Brewers before he went to the O's. But yeah.
Yeah, he was with the Brewers first. He signed this offseason with the O's along with O'Neill. Those were their two big acquisitions.
Yeah. I mean, some of that is just not being able to read fly balls, or I don't know. That's more discipline wise, or you just misjudging it. Because I mean,
With
we see
Go
with
ahead.
Grisham, he took the wrong step, but then he corrected and he caught up to the fly ball the other day.
Well, Trent Grisham is a plus defender. I mean, he gets to balls and makes the plays look easy. And I know for a fact that they're not easy. He is just that good with the glove. And that's why he will be our fourth outfielder on the bench this season. Uh, he even surprised me hitting a dinger in his first at bat yesterday. So he's got some pop behind him, and he has uh, fantastic defensive skills. Outfield, outfield. I don't. He's probably best suited for center field, but I don't think there's a position that he can't play in the outfield. Uh, Bellinger is the same way. I'm sticking Judge in right field. I'm not moving him to center, and I'm damn sure not moving him to
No,
left field.
no.
So,
I mean,
what do you think the
Judge could
defensive
probably play.
alignment? What do you think
I
the
mean, Judge.
defensive alignment for the outfield will be this year?
I think, like you said, Judge in right field, because this is natural position. And though he could play left like he did center, but he's way better. Right? And I'm not risking him getting injured, because he's our biggest bat in the lineup. And then I would have Bellinger, Grisham in center, and either Dominguez or Pereira left. Or if I needed to, just put Dominguez in center and have Bellinger in left. Because if Dominguez keeps struggling, just put him back in his natural position. But in that way, he's flanked by two elite defenders in the outfield with cannons for arms. Because in left field, you make a mistake and that ball gets by you, that's a double or a triple. In center field, if you misread the ball, you can't get to it. And it's toward the end, but the left fielder or right fielder can back you up or help you out. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And yeah, I mean, honestly, I would, but Bellinger is Gold Glove caliber outfielder and can play center field, and he's proven it. So, we've seen the wear and tear that center field put on Judge the last couple of years, but he held it down. So, um, yeah, I would put it. I would do that just because I mean, Dominguez keeps struggling, and he struggled last season when we tried to throw him out there in spells for Verdugo,
Okay.
and it hasn't
We
gotten
have a
any better.
comment. We have a comment from John the Beagle Dad. Jason needs his reps in the outfield. All right, John. He's had reps in the outfield. At what point do you say enough is enough? Are you going to wait to go into the season, say May, June, before you pull the plug on him or try the switch to center field? Okay.
But yeah,
Is it better? Is it better for the team to pull the plug early than continue to play him in a position that he's struggling at?
but yeah, and then I mean,
How do the struggles affect his performance at the plate?
and then that remains unanswered, that question. But I mean, you see how the fans turn on players real quick, especially young guys like Volpe. You know, they, I mean, they would rail on Torres, and rail on other players. I mean, they even booed Judge and Stanton. I mean, Yankee fans, they've even booed Derek Jeter and Jorge Posada. Um, but what I'm saying is, he makes a mistake at Yankee Stadium, and it cost us a game. How quick will the fans turn on him, and how much can he handle that?
Well, everyone here in this conversation knows that Yankee fans are fickle as hell, and they don't care what your what your past performances have revealed, what you've done. They will boo and heckle any player on the planet. Some people can handle it. Uh, I will tell you, the one that I truly admire is Stanton.
Mm-hmm.
Stanton has been harangued for years. He steps up to the microphone. He doesn't give any excuses. He says, "My bust, I'll do better." And then he carries on and tries to do better. He's not arguing with reporters. Uh, he just goes out there and does the job that he's being paid to do. Dominguez, he's a 22-year-old kid, maybe 23 now. How much pressure can he handle? I don't know. He's been he's been pampered through the system. I know that as the heir apparent for years. Now it's time to show what you've got, and he seems to be struggling. Looking at the conversation here, there is a great interaction on Dylan Cease and Michael King, possible trade candidates to the Yankees. Uh, Earlier, I mentioned them as possible names to come to the team. Uh, Padres are not in a great financial situation. However, they signed King to a 1 year deal with an option for a second year. So I'm not really thinking that they're looking at trying to move him. They're trying to compete this year.
Yeah.
Dylan
And
Cease, to me, he doesn't fit the profile. Uh, with Cole going down, I think Cole goes under the knife tomorrow. His rehab time is going to be ballpark 15 months. So that puts him returning to the team uh, June, July timeframe of next year. Cease is a rental player. He will be a free agent at the end of the season. So Cease isn't going to cover the gap. Cease is a great pitcher, but he's not going to cover the gap. And with the way that the Yankee money is rolling, Yankees are not going to pay for him, especially if they think that they're going to compete for the likes of Tucker, Murakami, Vladdy Jr., Naylor. So
yeah,
next year, you're going to have Goldschmidt walking out the door, and we are going to instantly have the need to have a first baseman, a quality first baseman.
we still don't have
Are
a
we
third
going to?
baseman.
I was about to say, are we going to do anything at third? I think that the options that we have there, Cabrera and Peraza, are serviceable. The most likely scenario I see is a platoon there. Uh,
I think
the
it's going to be
concept that the Yankees are building is run limitation by a defense. And both those players are capable of filling in that role. The player that actually concerns me from spring training thus far is Anthony Volpe. Volpe has not looked good with his glove, and his bat is sub pitiful. This is the year that we were needing to see a big jump out of him, possibly pushing it to the 260, 270 level with his batting average. But I think he's hitting 100 or less. Uh, his
Huh?
commentary has been that his bat speed is up, and that's fine. But if you don't touch the ball, don't give a crap what your bat speed is.
Right. You got to put the ball in the plate. But with Volpe, I mean, there's some concern there, but I still think he can, break out of the season. I don't know. He's just having a rough spring. My Judge is also hitting 100. Hasn't really homered, but we know how Judge is going to be from regular season, and he's usually a slow starter.
I see that Dev has hopped on the stream. Welcome, brother. Appreciate it.
And
If there is anybody else that wants to hop on board, I just dropped the link for you. Click it and we'll bring you into the stream.
But yeah, my surprise though for third would be Yorby Bebas. He's been playing a little more lately.
He has been one of those rookies that I or prospects that I think has stood out. I like his glove. He's aggressive at the plate. He makes solid contact, and he's even shown some speed out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think if there's possibly an injury to the infield, he's the next man up.
Yeah.
And this season, I think we're definitely going to have to go with the approach of the next man up.
Because, I mean, look at it. I mean, who's our – stands down. So we're relying on Goldie and Bellinger to protect Judge, and the rest of our lineup to put the ball in play and get on base and hit and run and, do what they do.
Interesting comment from Cold Italian Pizza. Grisham will be playing more and Judge will be DHing more. Interesting narrative.
Would it surprise me if Boone does that? It wouldn't really surprise me. But I know Judge would probably be like, no, I want, he's a competitor. And he's an elite outfielder. So, I could see more rest days for Judge. Like, 4 or 5 days, more rest days. And then just a rotating door. You could use the DH for Goldie as a DH on some days. You could even use Bellinger. But then you got Dom Smith. What are we going to do with Dom Smith?
Dom Smith is a first baseman, and he has definitely shown flashes of power. Could step into the Stanton role easily too. That's one of my questions for today is what does our bench look like in 2025?
Well, we know for sure Grisham's on that bench. We know Cabrera is probably going to be our utility Swiss Army knife on the bench. We know we're going to have a backup catcher, but who that fourth man is going to be, probably going to be one of the backup first basemen like Bryce or Dom Smith. Cabrera can play first too, so we may just have. The question is, do we want a fifth outfielder or we want another infielder as our fourth bench piece.
If you look at first base as far as backups, you have Bellinger, who is capable of playing first base. It was one of his primary positions with a shuffle in the outfield. You have Cabrera, who played first base, who uh, is more than serviceable. Uh, Ben Rice, learning the position at first base still. Would he be the guy that I put on the bench?
Yeah, that would be hard. I mean, because then you realize though that in a couple months DJ might be back after he nurses that hammy. Um, and
I
then
just
you know
have
there's
the I have the guts feeling that DJ is not going to be on the squad at the major league level this season.
wow.
He took one swing and injured a calf muscle. What do you think the odds are of him holding up for any period of time, even as a utility player for us, regardless of his $15 million contract?
Um, I think, man, they figure out a way, maybe spread out his payments or something. But I would retire him. There's just not. I mean, every time he tries to get back on the field, he gets injured. I mean,
The, the,
post
the, pro- the,
2022.
the problem, if DJ retires, he walks away from $30 million. That's
Right.
not happening. I don't care who you are.
Well, no,
Nobody's
that's what I'm
walking
saying.
away from
If
30
they would,
million.
if they negotiated away, like what the Reds did with Griffey, where it was payments down the. I know Yankees don't do deferred payments, but
And the other thing with DJ, he's a five and dime player. Can't trade him. He can reject
mm-hmm,
any trade on the planet. So he's not going anywhere.
right.
I believe that the Yankees have insurance on his contract. It'll still count as far as our cap numbers go, but it won't be Yankee book money.
Oh yeah, but Graham does make a point there.
Which one is it?
You got to highlight it. The third base, I'd say now is in house. The priority is the rotation that just got a whole lot more unpredictable.
Oh, yeah, I brought that one up. Uh, with regard to third base assets out there, there's no way in hell the Yankees are trading for Arenado. I don't care what any articles say. I don't care what uh, insiders are talking about. They are not adding the bulk of that contract to this lineup.
No.
Other teams that have possibilities that we might be able to utilize at third base. The one that I've been calling for is Matt McClain out of the Reds organization. Although he did miss all last season with an injury, but his rookie year, fantastic. He hit 290 as a freaking rookie with plus defensive skills. Josh Smith, former Yankee farmhand, sitting there in Texas. Is he going to have a home there? Possibly, possibly not. It's hard to say. But trading for either players, McClain is going to cost you in prospects, no doubt. Not sure about Smith, but if you trade for either of those players to play at third base, are we actually getting a marked improvement? Defensively, I don't tend to think so. Offensively, it's a possibility, but there are no sure things in baseball.
Right. And I feel the same way. I think even if it's a platoon situation, our third base is set right now, I think. But like to Graham's point, priority is a rotation because we got three people in the back end of our rotation. We've got Stroman, who first half he's great, second half he falls off. Carrasco eats innings, but is he going to be a 5 and fly guy, or is he going to be a hit and miss? And then you got Will Warren. Is he going to last the whole season, or is it going to be kind of is he going to get shelled a lot?
Well, last year, Luis Hill was a plus pitcher. His performance started to go downhill because the most he had ever pitched professionally was about 90 innings, and he made it through 154. He started having back problems, and I think he had a tired arm. That's why his numbers started to accrue upward. Will Warren has maxed out, I believe, at 100 innings as a professional. I think that you will probably see some type of degradation in that July, early August time frame with him, because pitching is a hard deal, brother. Let me tell you. And hot days take it out of you. Just the mechanics of throwing is tough. Cam Schlittler, I think his max inning count is 85. So any of these guys that we would be bringing up out of the farm is not going to be, I think, durable for the complete season. Cookie Carrasco, he's got a lot of experience. He's crafty. But he is probably going to be a 5, maybe 6 inning guy. And for me, that's the concern with the rotation, is how much stress is the bullpen actually going to take early in the season, and how does that impact us the further we go down the road?
Right, and then because we know Schmidt is going to be a 5 or 6 inning, 2 to 3 times through the rotation, or through the batting order. But with his back barking, like, how many starts is he gonna give us? But we at least know what we're gonna get out of Schmidt, And like you said, yeah, it's hard. But then also the other thing is, do you want to trade for the big guns, and lose a lot of prospects, or do you want to see who gets cut from teams and just pick off the scrap heap and I don't know, in the old military term, patch and go,
I understand that one. And Stephen B, I guess, looked it up and says that Warren has pitched 129 innings in the minors. Okay, that is good to know.
Yeah, I mean, as much as people hate Rodon, or we're kind of hit and miss with Rodon. Rodon's gonna give us a lot of good starts, but he's also gonna give us a lot of clunkers.
You're gonna see Rodon for about 175 innings this year.
Right.
That's about his average, and Cole's average was ballpark 190 or higher.
Right.
Except for last season. So that's 190 innings that you have got to look at replacing. How we do it. Comment from Graham. None of the farm arms, apart from Warren, is even close to ready. If you just brought up what I was going to say, the pen better be lights out, or we have issues.
Well, we know that the back end of our pen has gotten a whole lot way better with Williams and Weaver, but getting from the starter to Weaver and Williams is a lot of question marks.
Well, I will tell you, one guy that's still out there that I've been advocating since the trade deadline last year to bring back to New York is D-Rob. A lot of people don't like him. You hear the narrative that he's old. Uh, his numbers, even last year, as a 39-year-old, were lights out. And the thing that I saw, I watch a lot of baseball games, and I saw D-Rob face Otani, Betts, and Freeman in back-to-back nights. You know what the aggregate result was for those two? No hits, 6 strikeouts. That's an old man who knows how to pitch, and he's
Right.
only pitching 92, 93 miles an hour, and he knows how to bring the breaking stuff. He's a crafty pitcher and a
Well,
veteran
I mean,
presence who I think could really stabilize our bullpen. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
if you uh, look at who we have on the back end and throw a D-Rob in there, your starters are only going to have to go 6 innings,
yeah. Because
five innings, and then it's lockdown.
all right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Fernando Cruz, I'm excited, that we got him, but at the same time, he's a lively arm. But, how is he going to perform, in that sixth inning, whatever. But then Mark Leiter, we got a lot of, we got good stuff from him, but then we got a lot of bad stuff.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, I wouldn't mind having D-Rod back. I mean, you remember Bartolo Colon? He pitched, into his mid-40s, almost 50? And he was still striking people out and hitting home runs.
Stephen B. What if Carrasco is used as a spot starter and Longman in the pen? We'll keep him sharp. Well, that's what exactly I think is going to happen. I think that Carrasco is going to be uh, a long guy out of the pen.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they're talking about.
I see comments coming out of the out of the chat that the Yankees haven't brought D-Rob in because they don't like him. Well, personally, I don't give a shit if you like him or not. Is he able to perform and do the job that you need him to do, especially when you're trying to go back to back with the issues that we have in the rotation up front with Heel going down and Cole going down?
Yeah.
I don't know. Personal feelings aside, it's about getting back and getting number 28.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone talks and whines about we're wasting the best years of Judge and Cole, their prime. Well, you're going to let hurt feelings about somebody not wanting to give up World Series bonus to other staff people, or you're going to go out there and try to lock the door, bring a cat in.
I mean, that's where it comes down to, because Cashman he's trying to think of a plan B with Cole down and Stanton down, and even Hill. I don't know how long he's going to be out with that shoulder issue.
Talking about seeing him near the All-Star break.
Okay, so yeah, you got to try. So I mean, bringing in D-Rob, but the thing is with Cashman, if you ask him to, put aside his hurt feelings to bring in somebody,
I will tell you, Cashman had a hard time with Stroman. They had back and forth battles. Guess what? He brought Stroman on board. People hate the freaking signing. I don't care. When he got signed, it was lauded as a great signing. Stroman took a pay cut to come to the Yankees. Everyone knew what he was about with regard to his fiery temper, his antics, and whatnot. Now that we're trying to move him, Everyone's pissed off that we gave him a third-year vesting option. Well,
Hey,
he took a $4 million pay cut per season to come to the Yankees. Nobody was complaining about it when he got here, so deal with it.
and no, and he did help us out.
Now he's the guy that's probably going to save your rotation at least some inning count. Stroman's first outing, he looked like hamburger ass. He was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
His second outing, velocity is still not up there, but definitely had location down. Did not give up hard hit balls. Had a couple of strikeouts. I think had a single walk. And the guy knows how to pitch, but he's getting older. And if we get a half a season's worth of solid work out of him, praise the Lord. Thank God.
That's my thing too. And then plus his personality. I know a lot of people kept saying that he was a clubhouse cancer and all this stuff, like they did with Jazz. But I'm like, their personalities bring a little flavor to the Yankees. I mean, the do-rags. I mean, when you see Wells and Stroman with do-rags, I'm like, hey, nothing wrong with that. Because in the bottom of the lane, all I care about is if they perform on the field and then they play. And don't give up on the plays like Hicks did, And I mean, Stroman may be a first half guy or just whatever, a half a season. But he's giving you starts and he's helping us out. So, yeah, whatever we get from him at this point, I'm all for it. As long as we can get to the playoffs and get to the hopefully get to the World Series this year.
Graham is highlighting a point that the Pen, and I agree, is the way that we navigate out of this rotation situation without having to eat huge contracts and taking players that are marginal. I saw 3 articles this morning about the Yankees bringing Eric Fetty in. Fetty was traded at the deadline to the Cardinals. He did well there. He had a 9-9 season with a 3.91 ERA and I think 154 strikeouts.
Yeah.
Which is 3-4 starter range. But that was the best season that he's had in the last 3. His average ERA is between 5 and 6, with a lot of home runs being given up. Am I willing to trade for a $7.5 million contract for 1 year that's not going to benefit us? Don't see the point. But clickbait news articles out there, everybody's got to have some action going, so we might as well pull any name out of the hat that the Yankees are desperate for. We couldn't strike a deal to bring Arenado in. We couldn't get Donovan out of their clutches. Fetty, you think it's the same Cardinals?
Yeah.
We don't want to pay any money. We want a lot of prospects. And sorry, pass. Just not going to do it.
And every team wants Yankee prospects, Every GM.
And then we hear the narrative. Cashman's a dumbass. He doesn't go out and get what the team needs. Fire him. Fire Boone. Hell, I don't know what Boone has to do with any of this shit, but there are people out there crying to fire him right now after we just extended him. So
yeah,
Yankee fans just surprise me with some of the stuff that comes out. I'm just simply amazed.
Well, you served a long time in the military. I'm gonna say that
I did.
Cashman's been our GM for what, 26 years and counting?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Longest tenured GM in Major League Baseball.
You don't stay there not knowing how to do your job, regardless of what the thing. But I mean, especially in a high-profile position like that, you don't last 26 years not knowing how to do their job. When I was in the military, I seen officers that didn't even know how they were out the door. And I'm talking like they didn't know how to do. They made mistakes with the basic stuff, like not having comms set up when we needed to go out on,
See, my philosophy in life is similar to that of my philosophy in the service. I was in some bad fights. Never thought we were out of it ever. Never surrendered. Never
Right.
quit. Just kept fighting. Did it on the ground. Did it from a boat. Did it from a ship. So I've been in all venues of being in firefights.
Right.
And
I did. I was in artillery, and I mean my 4 year, but 2 deployments in Iraq, and yeah, we fought different ways. Well, yeah, it was a never quit, never surrender, and everybody stepped up and looked out for each other. I mean, you could be a private, you got your captain's back, you got your, your lieutenant's back, you got your colonel's back. I had to be a PSD for a colonel. When you're outside the wire, and anything can happen, everybody's looking out for each other's back. And like I said, that's my philosophy in life. And in sports, it's similar. It's how's the team going to respond with all these injuries, and are they going to have each other's back and be next man up, never quit, never surrender?
thank you for your service, Graham. What branch did you serve in? The but the younger mentality is shiniest toy, need it now, want it now. If you're not performing to the exact level that we expect, then you're a piece of dung and we want to get rid of you. We heckle you, we boo you until you submit.
Right.
In real adult world, that doesn't. Yeah, CT, screw you and JD Davis.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said earlier, we're talking how Yankee fans are. It's what have you done for us lately? I mean, we boo Judge when he doesn't perform. The whole team gets booed. I mean, they were booing Howell during Paul O'Neill's ceremony, retirement number 21, and the fans were booing Howell, and then Paul O'Neill had to defend Howell. So, I mean, there are some players in today's baseball. They see that and they don't want to play. They just make up excuses like the facial hair policy or something which is now gone. But
that's one of the things that I thought was funny is we've lauded facial hair like that. Facial hair is going to make anyone play better. A haircut is going to make anyone play better.
Well, I mean, but Cameron Maven, he said it best. I think he said, but pinstripes are heavy. And that man played for 14 different teams?
Yeah, he actually played for us.
Mm-hmm. And then he said it on different when he was in the booth when people are asking questions, and he's like, "Hey, those pinstripes are heavy."
But I'm just surprised at the defeatist attitude that the fans are displaying. We haven't played one damn regular season game. We have CT backstage. We're going to bring him up. Howdy, CT. How are you doing?
Hey, I want to make it quick, Ken. I just want to make it quick. I'm doing good. I just want to ask you, I know I mentioned in the chat, and I know I've heard people say nah. But what are your feelings about Michael King coming back to the Yankees? I wanted to ask you this because I really respect your opinion on players and how your view of how they work as pieces of the puzzle for a team. But right now, I don't trust our rotation, and I keep hearing about Will Warren, and it's blowing my mind because I've seen him be rocked so many times. And yeah, it's in spring training he's looking good, but once the regular season begins, I don't know if I trust Will Warren right now. So when you start to think about it, what do we have? We have Freed, we have Rodon, we have Schmidt, and then we have Stroh, and you're telling me we have Will Warren, and that's a rotation that's going to work. The Padres
I
seem
will tell
open,
you.
you know.
I will tell you right now. For me, Will Warren's test was yesterday against the Tigers. Warren faced their A team, by far a complete major league roster, and he chewed their asses up. I think he's ready. How long he'll be able to go, I don't know.
And that's my issue with
Warren last
Stroman.
my
That's my
my
issue with
narrative.
Stroman. Is like you're going to get a first good half from Stroman, at least a decent first half. But by the trade deadline, the All-Star break, we better have something better in our rotation. Because Stroman's going to fucking, no offense, I didn't mean to swear, but he's going to go like this in the second half, just like last year. So what do you do at that point? Who do you get? How are we going to fix our rotation to end the second half of the season? And
Well,
Ken, you said
that's what Cashman has to do. Over the last 2 years, he has had bad trade deadline moves. We had the opportunity to bring Flaherty in on the team. He didn't like the medicals, so he still tried to bring the damn guy in, and on a cheaper package. We ended up losing him to the Dodgers. But that was a starter that we could have brought into the fold to help us last year. And what ended up happening? He went to the Dodgers, bit us right in the ass. So hence, Cashman has to be able to go out, and it's going to cost at the deadline, as you saw from the pitchers coming in, free agent signing. Salaries are up. Yusei Kikuchi, who I think is a useless piece of crap, got traded to the Astros and brought back a lot of prospects.
Yeah.
Then his signing this offseason, he's a 4 or 5 starter at best. He's pulling a $21 million AAV contract for the next 3 years. Is he worth 21 mil? Not a chance in hell.
No.
So that's when I look at players like Luis Castillo, who is a plus pitcher with the Mariners. Mariners have been trying to dump his contract. You know what his AAV salary is for the next 3 years? It's $24 million.
Yeah, that's my issue with Dylan Cease. What's Dylan Cease's annual contract right now? I think it's like 21, right? $20 million. And people are talking about getting Cease, and I'm like, Dylan Cease costs a lot more than Michael King does, and I think we already know Michael King as he grew up in our system, so I think he would be a better piece to get, and he'd be a fraction of the cost, and I think we could trade the right prospects because the Padres are a little desperate right now in a certain way. I know NFE said that they are into competing next year, and I get where he's coming from. I'm not disagreeing, but I do realize. Sorry, my dog's in the way. I do realize that the Padres, are kind of in a situation, kind of like the Yankees, where it's different. But I think the Padres are not going to tax us like some of the other teams would. In our desperation, I feel like they're more of a team to deal with a trade because I still think we're going to see a rise end up a Yankee because we have very little action happening offensively from third base. And if we don't have Stanton, then the best person you could get would be Arias as our DH. The guy's going to hit 320. Yeah, he's got no power, but we kind of need to have somebody who's going to give us a 320 average in the DH spot. I think that would help us. But that's just my opinion. I know I'm babbling right now, but I just wanted to ask some of these questions you can, because I love watching your show and I love talking with everybody and getting everyone's input and stuff. But I really think the Padres are our best trade partner for two pieces we really need right now. And I think in the end, you probably may see King and Arias in pinstripes this season. And as much as you hate it or like it, I think it's a reality. It's more of a reality than some of the other players I've heard mentioned. But that's just my 2 cents. I'll leave that and I'll let you guys go. But I just wanted to throw out my 2 cents and hear how what you guys thought. And I'll be in the comments, guys. Thank you for letting me on, Ken, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Thank you. Appreciate you showing up.
All right. Appreciate it, CT.
We are right at the hour mark, and it's about time for me to cut the stream. I like the conversations that I've seen in the chat, interactive and to the point. I like Sean being up here to help me out with some of my questions and thoughts, bouncing ideas off of him, and I appreciate you, Sean.
Appreciate you too.
I think it was a good stream, and I will be back on Thursday with another open panel, and we will have some more topics to discuss, possibly reviewing the Cam Schlittler and Clark Schmidt outings today. I am considering doing a play-by-play on one of the split squad games this afternoon. I'm just not sure which one. Keep your eye out for the notifications if you see one come up. Feel free to hop on. And if you like the content, hit the like buttons. I don't know how many likes we have. I'm not up to speed on tracking that information yet. I believe everyone here is subscribed, but share the show out and the channel out with your friends. And even after this live stream is done, feel free to drop comments. I try to answer any comments that come in. I appreciate them. I appreciate the support that y'all have given me. We are right at about 2 months and ballpark about 65 subscribers. So I want to thank you for the for hopping on board, an unproven talent, an old guy who rambles a little bit too much maybe. But I appreciate appreciate the support, and I'm gonna stop the show right now. Thanks for showing, guys. See you on Thursday.
Right.
Well, maybe today if I do a live stream. Holler at you later.
All right.